Hola, Evan Montes de Colthrone y hoy traigo este video de un hermano en Cristo en Estados Unidos. Su canal se llama WatchmanReview y él hizo algo interesante, algo que yo también proclamo. Él tomó varios videos de varias personas alrededor de Estados Unidos y en otras partes del mundo acerca de sueños, testimonios de sueños que ellos han tenido. Hizo una recompilación de todos esos sueños y encontró patrones y temas en común. Y me pareció muy interesante porque es muy similar a lo que yo predico. Yo hablo de la no linealidad de Dios y la forma que Él se comunica con nosotros, que es de forma no lineal, y por ende sus mensajes llegan como en pedazos, lo que a nuestro parecer son pedazos. Y la cuestión es que nosotros, para entender a Dios, para entender esos mensajes espirituales del dominio espiritual, nos corresponde juntar esos pedazos adecuadamente. Y entonces otra cosa que hay que tener en cuenta es que Jesús ve a su iglesia como una sola persona y así le habla a su iglesia como una sola persona, lo que significa que muchos individuos en la iglesia pueden estar recibiendo partes del mensaje. Y si esos individuos, si nosotros no estamos unidos como iglesia, si no estamos compartiendo, hablando de lo que el Señor nos está dando, entonces no vamos a poder unir todos esos pedazos que cada persona recibe individualmente. Terminamos no uniendo todos esos pedazos, no captando el mensaje y perdiendo el mensaje. Y por eso me gustó mucho este video, porque este hermano en Cristo hizo eso. Él juntó los pedazos y sale un mensaje, sale cuadros, sale patrones de todos estos sueños que todas estas personas han estado teniendo. Entonces no proclamo de que cada cosa que se dice acá es profecía y va a suceder, pero sí me parece lo suficientemente interesante para compartirlo y para que lo mediten y lo consideren con una mente abierta. Entonces aquí les dejo con esta edición de parte de WatchmanReview.
Gone in the rapture, and a lot of people were left. A lot of people, and I was left here, and it was horrible.
The earth began to shake, and people started yelling, "Earthquake! Earthquake!"
The roads and the earth started to shake and sway violently.
There was this big, huge earthquake.
I felt a gigantic earthquake.
Shaking, like everywhere, like things were shaking left to right.
There's a great shaking coming to the USA. There's a great shaking coming.
And I noticed the whole United States, not just one state, but the whole United States had shook for at least a minute or two after that. And I also remember most of the areas were crippled. Even the White House was crippled.
And then I heard on the radio that a 9.3 had struck British Columbia.
New York City was completely buried. It was buried in rubble and cars, piled up cars.
He said to say it in this manner, California, California, have you sinned against me? California, California, soon you shall be engulfed by the sea. California, California, you hoarded every dime. California, California, you are now out of time.
There was no order. People didn't understand what was going on. People were going crazy, people running around.
A 9.0 earthquake has just struck in the Atlantic Ocean and you need to leave.
The east coast of the United States had just had a major tsunami.
This wave was coming in over the east coast of America. I knew it presented a massive calamity of some kind.
The destroyer is already at work in New York. The destroyer is already at work in New York.
There was a tsunami coming to the city, and there was a great flood to follow after the tsunami.
I seen like a big old wave coming. And I seen that wave coming, and people started running.
Huge tidal wave coming right at him, coming right at the road and all the other people that are driving on the road.
When I tell you, like, this tsunami was huge. It was like going over like the Empire State Building huge.
I guess you could say it's a tsunami, but it was like a flood as tall as the building.
And the flood went as high as the buildings.
The highest wave was higher than the buildings.
Gigantic waves, like you're not getting away from them.
As the waves were coming in, they began to like come towards me.
I was so close to this. I knew that it was going to kill me.
His finger took and touched Florida, and Florida was gone. No more.
Pretty much most of Florida was underwater, and also the whole coast of Georgia was completely underwater.
Close to the horizon is the sun. It's huge, and there's a little black planet or orb or moon, I don't know what it is, just a black circle eclipsing the sun partially at the lower left side.
When the moon covered the sun, the moon, it wasn't black, it just turned blood red.
Kind of like a blood moon.
A huge moon, and it was a blood moon.
And on the side of the huge blood moon was a real small blood moon. Then on the other side, it was a real small white moon.
And I seen 3 planets, three different planets in our sky.
This gigantic planet.
It was huge. It was like a planet, and it was like a dark bluish.
You got the red moon, then the regular full moon, a huge blue planet, and then a small, fiery
blackness, but had fire coming out of many openings within it, like lava underneath.
Black with golden pieces in it. This black thing with golden pieces in it. And I wrote down, and it was Nibiru.
I've prayed for revelation about what it is. All I get is wormwood.
But it looked like a planet, and it was coming down fast.
As Nibiru got closer and closer, we could feel the atmosphere change.
I will see fire, like fire coming down from heaven.
Fire in the sky.
Fireballs falling from the sky.
Balls of fire.
Meteors or fireballs of some sort started coming down.
Great balls of fire fall down.
An asteroid is coming. An asteroid is coming.
A lot of meteors coming down, and people were just running.
These stars are coming down, and I could see them coming down. Everybody was, in shock.
Meteorites or something, things just falling from the sky. I remember that.
It like fell and it just hit the land with such a force. It was like this thing weighed tons. This thing was heavy. And it hit with such a heavy weight, and I could feel that it was lethal, and I could feel death.
I was feeling so scared and like hopelessness, like I couldn't feel God's presence at all.
There's going to be 3 days of darkness. That's what he was saying. There's going to be 3 days of darkness. And you needed to stay inside. That's it. He said there's going to be 3 days of darkness, Mark, and you need to stay inside. Don't go out.
Make sure you have enough food and water to last. 3 days of darkness. I kept hearing that over and over.
There was nothing but darkness. It was just thick darkness.
Pitch blackness. It was all darkness.
It's a darkness like if the sun, the moon, the stars were gone.
It wasn't just dark. It was darkness that was alive. That's the only way I can just describe it. It was evil.
It was so scary, so creepy.
Smog or smoke coming from the sky, like black smog.
Thick smoke. I wouldn't say a cloud.
And they were like, it had its own mind, and it was just going around. The smoke was going around.
It was coming with such violence. It was just coming with rage.
Demons literally flying all over the place.
These demonic beings were flying all over the place in the sky, searching for human beings, like they could sense us.
Demons, and they walk the earth.
Demons, these monsters, they look horrible. They were tall, like, and
some half human, half animal like. Some were 10 to 20 feet tall.
Big, like, large men, and they were coming to attack me, and I knew that they were demons in the form of men.
Running away from this demon in my dream, it was dark.
She transformed. She transformed into a scaly, reptilian look. Teeth became sharp. Her skin went like a reptilian, reddish brown. She looked demonic.
There was like people like I guess, turning into zombies or whatever.
You'd think they were zombies or something, and they were violent and just angry, and they were like out for blood.
Cops killing cops, cops killing people, people killing cops, screaming, looting, fires.
Fights and riots.
Everything, every nightmare, every theory that you hear, whether it's a Bigfoot, whether it's a dog man, you hear about the Nephilim giants, it's literally going to materialize and manifest right before your eyes.
I looked up and saw a UFO.
Flying saucer. It was one of those UFO
Spaceship. It was just like flat, like a disc.
There were UFOs. I don't know why. But there were UFOs.
White objects, UFOs.
What society would call a UFO. But in reality, this is a demonic force.
We both knew that it was full of fallen angels or demonic entities pretending to be aliens, okay?
A group of what looked like 3 men. They probably weren't men. They were probably demons or something. You know, they were trying to persuade us that they were aliens or something. They looked somewhat normal. They just were bald and were weird looking. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe gray, all pale. They would have the human body, but you could see that this is not a real human. You could see that this was a hybrid. And I knew that these were like human and alien hybrids.
I saw something wrong in the skies. The skies become all red skies, and that's what took my attention. I started noticing was something wrong, something very, very wrong in the skies. And I saw a dragon, very, very big dragon, and red dragon.
That is the Antichrist. And as I saw him pass us, me and my husband, in the dream, I had this fear.
And he looks right at me. And it was to the point where he looked through me. And it terrified me. And you could just see that he was sitting on this throne. And I mean, it was crazy, man. Like he was the king.
I noticed what looked to be a man or a beast, a man that walked as a beast, and the beast had snake-like tendrils coming off of its back.
In this dream, the water was poisoned, and it was a horrible time. The water was not drinkable.
I keep telling you guys about the polluted waters.
They were fighting over this bottle of water.
I was in this room with strangers who were also on the run. Now, they were starving.
There were some people that were going to come for us, and they were going to take us off to a camp.
These military people bursted in my house and took everyone away because there was martial law.
As they were being taken into this facility like a herd of cattle, I realized that families were being divided.
We were in some sort of camp, some sort of FEMA camp maybe.
We were wearing all orange. This was orange, this was orange. It was almost kind of like jail or prison or something like that.
I remember seeing the Pope. He was calculating the number of Christians around the world. And I believe that the reason why the Pope was calculating these Christians, they was trying to get a number of who they wanted to kill and slaughter. The Pope was just going to and fro, sort of like Satan.
And he's screaming out in the bullhorn, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And he kept saying that. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. There have been millions of people on the face of this earth that disappeared. And in order for us to be able to track you down, you need to get the marks.
They're telling people that they basically have to be marked so that they can try to find everyone and get track of everyone.
We have refused to get the identification chip. Because of our refusal, we have been labeled as criminals, terrorists.
I didn't have the mark of the beast. And
they started trying to force it upon me.
I was actually given the choice to deny Christ or take the mark of the beast, and if I did not take the mark, I was going to be beheaded. There was a guillotine set up, ready to go.
They were literally forcing people to take the mark that got left behind, and if you did not take the mark, you would die. Anyone who was a Christian or had the name of Jesus Christ, they just wanted to kill.
Suddenly I heard very, very clearly a sentence: Russia will attack the USA.
Russia and China will invade.
Horrible war that would impact the United States of America.
Missiles popped out of the ocean, out of the sea, and just went in the sky.
It was a red and black, I think it was a nuclear warhead.
2 missiles go over my head.
The nukes were coming. And he looked up and he saw the planes and he saw the nukes dropping. And he said that there was this big wind that knocked him to his knees.
Flash, bright flash of light, and then the
large missile. And it landed in an electrical grid.
There will be an EMP attack.
I saw people on the ground hurt.
Every place was being destroyed. I'll never forget it. Even the oxygen seemed to be taken out of the air.
Jets, like flying fast. And I know I could tell it was military jets.
Hundreds and thousands of military aircrafts covering the entire sky.
So many of these planes, these fighter jets, as well as these big Boeing planes, that, I mean, the sky had literally darkened.
Military people in helicopters shooting people in the streets. Buildings were falling. Bombs were going off.
Flying around with different, you know, they're representing different country, yet they were together coming in.
I saw in the water coming Russian troops.
Foreign troops. From what I believe, the troops were from China and from Russia.
Patchwork on their shoulders, it showed the star, and it showed the hammer and the sickle.
And I asked the Lord who the army was, what was going to happen. And the Lord told me it was the northern tribes.
Oh my Lord, that's Russia.
I saw military trucks.
It's military open, I don't really know what it's called. It's like a huge truck that's open in the back where a bunch of guys can pile in. But this was exaggerated, like it was huge.
Big, like, you know, the army tanks, like army tanks.
They're coming, listen, listen. And then he told me again, look outside the window. So I looked outside the window and then I heard these military marching, and they were all in unison. Toom, 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 toom.
It was formation after formation after formation.
I looked up at this flagpole and I saw a flag there, and there wasn't much of a flag, it was just part of a flag. But when I looked at it, I immediately knew that it was an American flag, but it was very shredded, it was very just tattered, and you know, where with the American flag, where the blue with the stars, there wasn't much left of that.
Everyone rejected the United States and just watched it fall. It turned into a third world country.
America will be brought to her knees.
The guy with the gun was staring at me with this smirk on his face, you know, as if to say, you know, there's nothing you can do about it now.